The much-awaited update to the DJI RC controller, making it compatible with the Air 2S, has finally been released. Let's take a look at how the new controller performs and compares to flying the Air 2S using your phone. Hey, welcome back everyone, it's Joe from Ghost1917. I've long been a proponent of flying my Air 2S with my iPhone 13 Pro Max using Mac iOS, despite its one big flaw of screen dimming during high processor use, which I found workaround for. But I've always disliked the need to utilize my phone to fly my drone rather than having a dedicated screen, and buying a second phone strictly for flying was just cost prohibitive, as were any screens which were worth using. I also felt my earlier Android phones were a little sluggish compared to the iPhones, so I was hesitant to move to an Android-based controller. I had tossed around the idea of getting the DJI RC Pro, but again, at $11.99 US, I felt it was still cost prohibitive. Then the DJI RC came out and seemed to have most of what I was looking for in a controller with a built-in screen, and all for just over $300 US. So I went ahead and picked one up along with a micro SD card. So, how does the DJI RC controller stack up against the iPhone I primarily used, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and how does it perform while using it to control the Air 2S? Well, let's start with a quick comparison. The iPhone 13 Pro Max's screen measures 2 3/4 inches tall by 5 3/4 inches wide and 6 1/2 inches diagonally. The DJI RC screen measures 4 3/4 inches wide by 2 3/4 inches tall and 5 1/2 inches diagonally. So you lose an inch of screen width, but honestly, I haven't found this to be too significant and a fair trade-off for having an integral screen. I don't have the greatest reading vision, and the RC screen seems to be large enough for me. The brightness comparison with both screens at full brightness shows a noticeable difference, with the iPhone's 1100 nits outshining the RC's 700 nits. But a huge caveat, as most of you know, the iPhone tends to overheat during use, resulting in screen dimming to the point of being unusable. Like I mentioned earlier, I found a couple of workarounds to prevent this, but even with those workarounds, the phone sometimes still dims. The brightness of the DJI RC is more than enough to allow for daytime direct sunlight use without the addition of a sunshade. Here's some footage of the RC during direct sunlight conditions. The screen is more than bright enough, and at no point did I struggle to see any part of the screen. So, in order for your new DJI RC to work with your Air 2S, the first thing you need to do is update the firmware on the aircraft, as well as the firmware on the RC. If the new firmware message doesn't pop up on the screen, just click on Profile at the bottom of the Fly App home screen, then click on Settings, then Firmware Update, then check for firmware updates. The newest aircraft firmware is version 02.04.2320, and you can't perform this initial update with the new RC. This will have to be done with the RC N1 and your phone, or if you prefer, it can be done on a computer. Once you complete the initial update, all future updates can be done with the new RC. So power up the RC N1 and the aircraft and perform the update as you normally would. Also, keep in mind there's battery update, so you'll need to swap out all of your batteries and perform a quick battery update for each one. The newest RC firmware is version 01.02.0100. You'll need to have your RC connected to your network to update the firmware. You'll need to do this manually. Just pull down the screen on the RC and tap on the little Wi-Fi icon. If the update screen doesn't pop up, just go into the Fly App settings by tapping on the profile icon at the bottom of the home screen, and then tap on Settings cog, and then check for firmware updates. You're going to want to also update the DJI Fly App as well. The newest version is 1.8. Now, keep in mind, these versions were up to date at the time of this video, but with DJI rolling out new updates as frequently as they currently are, by the time you watch this video, there could be another update. But these are the minimum ones you'll need to pair your new RC with the Air 2S. Speaking of pairing, that's the next and final thing you'll need to do. It's super straightforward. Tap on the connection guide button at the bottom right of the home screen. Then scroll to the Air 2S and click on the bottom where it says Unable to connect to aircraft. This will launch the pairing mode. Then tap on Pair. You'll hear quick beeping. Now, making sure your Air2S is powered up, simply hold the power button down until you hear the pairing beeps. Wait for the RC and aircraft to finish the pairing process, and you're good to go. I've only been using the new controller for about 3 weeks now, but in that short period of time, I can honestly say I am not disappointed with the DJI RC. On the contrary, I'm quite happy. It's nice not having to pull out my phone, connect it, and of course lose the use of it while I'm flying. The ergonomics of the controller seem to work for me. I feel my flying has actually improved using the new controller, as there are more dedicated buttons for the different functions, making for a more streamlined operation. As always, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comment section below if you plan on purchasing the DJI RC, or if you already have one and what your experience has been. And while you're down there, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.